G'day and welcome back to my channel. Now we pick up in this video where I left off in the last one about the wood effects. So if you haven't seen that, you may want to pop back to part 2 of the series on the Hansa-Brandenburg to see how I achieved these wood effects. It was very easy. Anyhow, let's continue. I'm going to start working on the full interior now, getting in all the seats and bits and pieces. Oh, there's a lot to do. So here we go. It's been a few days because I've been away at the annual competition with our club, the awards barbecue, in a bloody big storm in Brisbane, with pissing rain everywhere and flooding bloody waters down the car park. But I did manage to come away with a few little medals. Yes, oh well, more about that later. Yes, occasionally I do win medals for models. They're not just all crap. Anyhow, back to the waffle. Yes, the wood effects, I work my way through all the other parts and I've got wood effects on everything and I'm pretty happy with that. People have suggested putting a gloss orange on, clear orange and a few other things. Yeah, well, that's fine for Albatross or the Rolands, which have the wooden exteriors that are all kind of basically varnished and glossed up. This is the interior of a seaplane and it's a Hansa-Brandenburg, which is a different brand, different make. And from a good authority that I've had, if anything, this should be a lot darker and it would have had salt spray and weather and all the rest of it because the conditions it was in. Remember, this thing's floating around in the friggin' ocean and salt spray's going in, all the rest of it. So if you've ever seen ship decks, it's probably more like that. Anyway, this is what I'm going to go with. This works fine. My friend also said, look, don't darken it because by the time you button it up, what you're going to see inside is going to have such little light. It's going to look darker anyway. So leave it go, see how it is. Now I've painted in some of the sections that should have colour for the interior, which covered some of my experiments, so that's fine. It's left the wood effects that I wanted. And I've added a little dark wash here and there to some of the parts that needed as well. But there's more work to do. I'll need to get the seat belts out and give them a coat of tan and then a bit of fine detail painting on the buckles with some aluminium because I'll put the seat belts on. I need to dry brush that seat. There's a few little brass bits I've missed that needs to be done. There's some clear parts that go in for the observer's little window there, which is this little critter here, which is actually a camera for taking still photos. So that's got to go in, and there's a little window there, and that tray. Can you see? There's a little tray, right? A little tray there that needs. Well, I need the window, and I need to do the aluminium frame, but that tray also gets some rigging. So even at this point, we've got to do bloody rigging. Yes, that little tray there. I'm showing you the wrong page, aren't I? Here's Harry Houdini. That tray, it actually has rigging hanging off it. That's how it holds in place. So there you go. Actually, I was showing you the right page. Here it is in the black and white drawing. Here's your rigging diagram. So yeah, there's a little bit of easy line got to go in there, so I'll do that. Now, as for all these bloody control lines running off now, there are people that do that. They rig up the whole interior. I'm not going to yet. In fact, I probably won't at all. By the time it's buttoned up, you will see those two little lines because you will see this whole thing. But what we'll do is we'll do get all the detail painting finished, get seatbelts on, and then assemble up this cradle, put it inside the fuselage and do a test drive fit. And if we can see down inside, and there would be noticeably a point of actually adding this rigging, it's not just masturbating into the wind, then I'll do it. But quite frankly, it's just, if you want to do it, great. It could be fun, you take your photos, there you go. But honestly, most of this is not going to be seen. And I can't be bothered. No. All right, I'll get on with this now, get the detail painting done, then we'll put this all together and I'll show you how it all comes out in the end. Here we go, as promised, the detailing has all been done. And even a little bit of rigging. I'll tell you, there's a lot going on here. Decals, rigging, everything. Let me show you a few of the things. It'll probably be easier if I do little close-up photos. Well, this is the panel that goes behind the pilot seat. And it's got a tiny little map on it, and it has a camera that shoots down, and that takes the aerial photographs, and there's a little map drawer in there, and I've even got rigging on tiny bits of easy line I've put in there to rig up that little shelf there that the navigator reads his maps from. And of course there's the window there that's a little bit of glass pane through. I've had to paint all the aluminium around the frame of that. Lots of fiddly little things, Now, another one is, this is the back panel that sits behind the navigator. There's a little dicky seat there, which I'm having out position. Put your teeth in, Harry. Yeah, the little dicky seat. It's because the word dicky is. See? Can't get my mouth around a dick. Now, the little ammo things here. Now, try as I might, I tried to do it as it should be. I painted the spaces spaces black, and then I dry brushed on the bumpy out bits, which would be the bullets, and it was so fine you couldn't see it. So I thought, what would it look like if I went the other way? So I actually painted the whole thing bronze, brassy colour, and then I dry brushed on basically what was the bumpy up bits, and that to me actually gave something that you could actually see, right? Even though it's incorrect, it's back to front, because by the time this goes inside the fuselage, believe me, you see so little. So I felt that was probably, although incorrect, it was artistically better up. So that was my choice. Now, I'll also show you a photo, because it's going to be easy to see, of this here, which is the instrument binnacle. So take a look at that. That was a lot of decals, and quite a bit of mucking around, and also quite a few little parts to paint. All the bezels had to be painted, aluminium, and then the little black parts had to be done. Yes, it quite a bit of fiddly detail, but all doable, just a bit of patience. And even the back, if you turn the thing round, the back of that also has detail and things that need doing. So that's all exciting. Now, another part that amazingly has some tiny decals on it is beside the seat. Right, so again, I'll blow up a little picture there. Beside the seat there's a little instrument there, and there's some sort of little compliance plate, and everywhere you look, there's some wee little thing that needs doing. So all those parts have been done. They're all completed. I've even started putting this together in sub-assemblies, so they're all ready to go. And here I've got a dry fit of the cradle on the interior sides. Fuselage halves. Now, I've done this because I've done a number of dry fits to see if the whole thing would actually go together, and it took me a few goes, and I had to do a bit of scraping out of paint, the white paint here, which I'd put on by hand. I just thought, I'll just paint it by hand, I'll get the airbrush out, never be seen. Well, of course, that built up quite a bit of layering, and I ended up with about a millimetre gap when I first did my first dry fit, test fit. Oh dear. So yes. So when I first did that with the Cradle in, I had about a millimetre gap. Only in the middle here, the bottom and the backs and front were all fine. So it was actually this panel, this panel behind the pilot, the navigator's panel with his little map and everything, that was pushing things out. So I ended up making sure I got all the paint off as much as I could, sanding without ruining the shape. And then I got in and really scraped that out. Now this is vitally important because a lot of people complain about the tolerances are so tight. They go around and put these kits together, and then the bloody things they reckon won't fit, and they've got to put filler in. Well, a little bit of patience, a little bit of dry fit and testing before you commit, and you might be able to save yourself heartache. All right, well, that's everything is basically done. What I'm going to do now are the seatbelts. So I'll quickly show you how I'd fit the seatbelts, because there's a bit fiddly, but it's not impossible. And then we'll put the cradle together and dry fit it into the fuselage, and that'll be the end of this video. Now, checking the instructions, part 6 is this Portside Seatbelt that's going to go around the pilot's chair. So we'll do that one first, and I'll show you what I would do to fit it. Now, you can cut these on a hard surface with a razor blade or something like that. I would advise ever cutting on the cutting mat, because they tend to bounce up and down and distort. But I've got these nifty new things, which are Xuron cutters. And boy, does that make mucking around with PE a whole new bloody ball game. There we go. No distortion, no mucking around. It just cuts like a knife through butter. So that's given me this part. Okay, so that's obviously the arse end of it, because there's nothing on it. And that's the way up that it should be. And this is the buckley part that's got to go down here. Now I've bent this one into shape already. It's basically how I want it. I'm going to have it sitting something like that, so that it's a bit sort of crinkled. It'll look okay once it's painted more fabric colour. And then I've got, I know that that's exactly where I want to band there. So how I did that, I'll shake that one out, is starting with the very flat piece of Photo-etch, is you need to know where things are going. So this is for the back. This is going to mount somewhere on the back wall there. It's not very clear in the instructions where. And it basically, as far as I can tell, it pivots around this point here. So first you get that in, so you know that's got a bend and that's going to go around to the back. Okay, so that's a given. So once you're locked in there, then you know that's going to fall down on the seat somehow, and that one I'll just leave flat, because basically the other one I've got the bumpiness. So with a bit of luck, with this one in place, oh, it's fiddly stuff, isn't it? This one in place, if it'll cooperate, I'll have my two seat belts sitting sort of where they should be. I need to go forward a bit. So there we are. They'll sit something like that. When they're painted up, you won't have that shininess. So, and then at the back here, they'll mount to the back board there. The little bit of wood that sticks in here behind the pilot seat, and they just mount anywhere I can fit them. There's no mounting points exactly. The rear seat belts do have little mounting points. There's actual little points here on the frame, so the rear seat belts are a lot easier to do. They also don't require folding, they just hang down. So the rear seat belts have got a little pointy bit goes in, hang down, piece of cake. So I'll get on with those now. I'll get them all shaped up correctly, lick a paint on them, and then we're ready to finish this interior. So there it is. That's the complete interior for this Hansa-Brandenburg W.12 seaplane. Seat belts are on. Here's a quick pic of how they looked just after I'd painted them, and having them folded up made it so much easier just to pop them in with a little bit of CA glue, and in they went into place, and you'll see there's another nice little hanging ones. So basically there's no more excuses. That's it. We've now got to put the cradle together and see how it fits inside that fuselage. There we have it. Finally, it's all together. Yep, that's the entire interior done. Okay, we didn't do the little rigging lines. And I'd even thought, oh, I could probably do them. And then after those seat belts went in at the back here, I covered the holes. I don't know how you would actually get the rigging lines in and still get those seat belts, because they basically pretty well sit over those holes. Anyhow, there you go. Now, as you can see, I've sanded the sides here, so that's not as pretty on the outside of the cradle, which you'll never see, because that's about to go inside the fuselage. So let's see what happens when we do this. Is it going to fit, or are we just going to be crying? It's going to be a tricky one. Right, so that part's only dry fitted on there. The purpose of this, and I've got a camera in my face, but I think we can do this. So you have got to go in there and you locate on that It was a little skullduggery off camera, and that's only because there's a funny little part right inside there which is supposed to stick from the side frame into the dashboard. And if it pops out, it's a bugger to get it. You have to disassemble the whole thing to get it back in. Anyhow, here's the moment of truth, right? I've got that in, it's sitting correctly. So we should be able to just mate up to the other half. If I get this sitting right. Click, clickety click. The all important one is that one there. And my dry fits, I had this thing fitting because that has to sit. Click, click, click. All right, it will require a bit of convincing, but it's definitely joining there. It's definitely joining there, and that part will join there perfectly. And this one here, oh, it's still tight, but with a little bit of, go off camera there, with a little bit of convincing. That's probably the only one I've got a tiny gap. And I say there's probably still some adjusting to do in there with that it's that damn wall there behind the pilot. So not too bad. I'm basically 99% there. That would button up. So that's not too bad at all. So we have a success. We have the interior, and there you go. That's all you get to see once it's all assembled. I know, it's frightening, isn't it? Frightening. Of course, there's a motor going to go there. That's going to hide a lot. But we know there's seats in there, and there's ammunition in there, and you know, there's stuff in there, and you kind of can see inside. You've got to sort of move it around. But I know I did it. There it is. I won't fully button this up until we put the motor, which will be next time. Next time we'll assemble the motor, which is basically a kit in itself. And then we'll be getting to the, yes, we do have to seal it all up before we can get on putting the wings and everything else on. So there you go. That's where we've got to in this video, which is quite a lot indeed. So that's it for this video, and we'll leave it with the interior complete on the Hansa-Brandenburg. I'll add some photos at the end of this so you can see in a bit more detail, bits and pieces, because there's so much going on in here that yeah, it's a bit hard just to show on the video. Better with the stills, they'll pick it up much better. So I hope you enjoyed the build as much as I did. It really is a fantastic kit, this Wingnut Wings Hansa-Brandenburg W12, and I think just about any of the Wingnut Wings kits will be equally as joyous to build. They are lovely because you're not stressing about fit and parts. They're all done for you. Everything's terrific. You're not stressing about the build order or your research. That's all done for you. They do so much to help you along the way that what you're left with is the time to go to the trouble to do things like this, to go to the detail and have some fun. So you don't have to sort of be intimidated by Wingnut Wings kits. In fact, they give you a huge leg up so that then you, even someone like me, can then spend the time and accomplish things that they really didn't know if they could do. I mean, I'm quite surprised. I've never done a World War I aircraft to this level of detail, but I was able to do it because of the Wingnut Wings kit. So there you go. All right, that's enough waffling. Hang around for the pics, but it's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.